All right, next part.
So he asked me if I read the thing he had given me. And I said, yeah, I thought it was interesting, you know. I still thought Jesus was probably a nutcase, but I thought, you know, that's cool, whatever. I live in Chicago. I think I've seen just about everything.
Go on.
So,
What did the track say? How money's evil, and
no.
if you get horny, you go to hell?
No. It wasn't anything like a trick thing to get you to pick it up off the ground or something. No, it just explained.
Oh, like that fake money shit I talked about? Yeah.
It just explained about how, you know, for God so loved the world, he gave his only begotten son.
You having tremors again?
Yeah.
Well, put your arm down. All right, go on.
And I mean, it wasn't anything trick, you know. So anyway,
So you don't really know what it said then?
No, it was about how you ask Jesus into your heart, and God would forgive your sins, and you would be made righteous in God's
But you and Mom,
eyes.
I found that everything that you said about churches is right. That's all they care about is getting people in the door.
Well, here's a thing. Let me finish my tale of woe here.
My tale of woe.
I ended
this
up
an emo story.
No,
emo poetry.
No, I ended up bringing or introducing 240 kids that I went to school with, where they became Christians. So these 240 kids start going to this church that I'm going to. It's a Pentecostal church, right? Well, they only had like 50 members. And here I brought in 240 young people. Some of them's got beards. Some of them wear sandals. Some of the girls got pants on and stuff. And, oh, God, that's not how we dress, you know. And my pastor thought it was really neat, you know, that these guys are coming to Christ, you know. So he didn't have a cow about their dressing because he figured God would convict them on what they wore. And
what the hell is that supposed to mean?
That's how I've always felt. If somebody thinks in their mind, God won't like it if I wear sandals, then don't wear them. Fine, who cares? Life isn't going to stop or not go on or whatever because of what kind of shoe you wear, you know? But if you want to think in your little mind that God really cares if you wear sandals or closed-toe shoes, you know, like he works for Payless or something, then, you know, fine. But, so the pastor ended up foolishly giving me Saturday night that I could be the speaker, right? And this is still when I didn't know why the words in the New Testament, why some of them were red. I thought they just trying to make it interesting or something, you know. It's the two colors of ink. Never occurred to me the red letters were the words of Christ. You know? So I'm totally dumb about stuff. So I got 2 big jugs of Welch's grape juice. And I got 2 big long breads of Italian bread, right? Because that's how it says in the Bible they did it. They broke bread.
Grape juice?
It don't have alcohol in it.
Well, you were under 21 or something?
Yeah, I was like 17.
This is so fucking stupid.
So, anyway, we had communion, and we used the bread. We passed the loaf, and we tear off a hunk, and you pass it to the next person, and they tear off a hunk. Everybody ate from, you know, the same loaves. We all drank from the same grape bottles because there wasn't any cups and stuff. I couldn't afford the cups. So,
look at the camera.
We took up an offering, and at the end of the service, I counted how much money we had, and I said, now we can give this to whatever we want. Do any of you have a need? You know, is anybody like hungry or anything like that where you need this money? And every one of them said, no, we want you to have it because you need some new shoes. I didn't realize that the soles of my shoes were that wore out, but they were. And so that's how I could afford a new pair of shoes. But anyway, finally there got to be almost 300 kids going there, where there wasn't even room for them to sit. And the pastor told me the church didn't want any of these kids to come there anymore. There was too many of them. And they felt that they were overpowered, that it was no longer their church.
What the hell's that supposed to mean?
You know? All I know is I saw kids that I know were drug dealers and everything else, and their lives turned around and they didn't do that anymore. And they were happy, you know? And they dug into that Bible and they learned the Bible, you know? And they became very loving, giving people, you know? And what I saw in his church were people that were like, you know?
Looks like the average person in Taylorville.
So, anyway, basically, he wanted all the young people kicked out of the church, but it was okay if I stayed. I said, I'm the one who brought them here. I'm the one who introduced them to Jesus, so why am I going to say they can't come here, but I can? That's totally hypocritical. I said, you throw them out, you're throwing me out too. He said, well, that's the way it's got to be. So then we didn't have a church, right? So then we started meeting by Axe Head Lake out in the forest preserve. And you got to be really where you want to be a Christian and get baptized in that thing. It was a glorified mud hole that was waist deep with mosquitoes, you know. And
this is a really fascinating
really
story.
Filthy water. So if you really wanted to be baptized, totally immersed, baptized to that, you really had to be sincere, you know. Surprisingly, people didn't get bit by the mosquitoes, which is really weird. But yeah, I mean, we started telling people that we're like in motorcycle gangs and everything else. And this one motorcycle gang guy wanted to kick my face in. He had his leg raised up with his boot with the big heels on him, and he's ready to slam it into my face. And I knelt down by his bike and I started to pray for him, that he would see how much God loved him and everything. The guy could not kick me in the face. He told me later he wanted to kick me so bad, and it's like he couldn't do it. It's like his leg was being held up, you know, like he couldn't bring it down. And there's this big, tough biker guy with leathers and chains and all these tattoos and all this crap. And he starts crying, man, you know. He just starts sobbing his heart out. And I took him and bought him a cup of coffee because that's all I could afford.
I got a question. Why do these biker people want to attack you?
Well, he wanted to kick my face in because I told him that God loved him.
Okay.
I guess that upset him or something. I don't know.
All right. Whatever.
So anyway, this guy ends up becoming a Christian. And he had a lot of friends that their lives were going down the toilet and they're headed to prison. You know, they keep doing the shit they're doing. So he told them about what he had experienced, you know, and how, you know what was really cool with that guy? I said to him, hey, God's calling you. And a phone rang. And what was really weird is there were no phones around there.
Okay.
But you could, you know, the phone was ringing. It was ringing loud, and the guy's like, where's the phone? I said, you better pick it up and answer, because you might not get another chance, you know? And
this sounds like a CBN story or something.
so there was these two pastors. One was a Seventh-day Adventist, and the other guy was a Pentecostal. And they followed me and Mike around, you know, and they saw this biker guy give his heart to God. You know, he's this big, you know, I would beat you to death kind of guy, you know. He had a switchblade and all that crap in his boot. And
sorry.
And they heard the phone ring
Oh.
too. And they're looking around and they're like, "Where's the phone?" You know. So they were sneaking around watching what we did, because we had to meet out at the lake. On Saturday, some of us would go to the Seventh-day Adventist church in the morning because they had Saturday church. And they were pretty cool. I will say they were pretty cool people. They did a lot of missionary work in really impoverished places.
Yeah, they did.
And they would invite you to their house after church and always, make a meal, and they were always so sweet and treated you like you're part of their family and stuff. And to me, they were very impressive. In fact, I would say they impressed me, and those Baptist